The 1980s were a golden era for action movies. The innovation of crazier stunts and more exhilarating effects combined with a sudden shift towards films that appealed to young people, thanks in large part to Star Wars, pushed the limits of the genre big time. The result was a decade that gave us some of the greatest action movies ever made. While there are way too many favorites to name here, we've grabbed our bullwhip, strapped on our survival knife, and hoarded all the gasoline we could find in order to find the best of the best. No, we're not getting too old for this shit. These are the top 10 action movies of the 1980s. Danny Glover stars as Detective Murtaugh, who's about to retire when he's partnered with Mel Gibson's Detective Riggs, a troubled veteran. And so an iconic duo is born in Lethal Weapon, which combines the breezy charms of a buddy cop flick with a grim and emotional crime drama. Shane Black's sharp screenplay gives Glover and Gibson juicy material and hilarious jokes and puts them in one tough-as-nails, life-or-death situation after another. For a while, John McTiernan's Predator plays like any other Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, with muscle-bound heroes annihilating bad guys with bullets, bombs, and dumb one-liners.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
But when the commandos run afoul of an alien monster, they slowly realize they aren't at the top of the food chain, they're the prey. Pulse-pounding, sweaty action punctuates this smart sci-fi thriller, which ingeniously epitomizes and subverts the whole macho 1980s action subgenre.
Go! Get to the chopper!
Sylvester Stallone plays John Rambo, a Vietnam War vet just trying to mind his own business when a corrupt sheriff arrests and tortures him, triggering a deadly psychotic break. Rambo flees, wave after wave of incompetent civilians try to capture him, and first blood is shed. The second and third movies in the series abandon depth for superficial thrills, but the original is a first-rate action thriller and features what might very well be Stallone's best performance. The 1980s were a time of enormous creativity for Jackie Chan, who became an international superstar thanks to his unique blend of slapstick comedy, impeccably choreographed kung fu fights, and death-defying stunts that he always performed himself. And Police Story is one of his standout films, with action sequences that still rank above the best ever, including a car chase through an incredibly destructible neighborhood and an eye-popping fight in a mall. Paul Verhoeven's vision of a capitalist dystopia where even the police have been privatized is a damning and often hilarious indictment of Reagan-era politics, but it's also an exceptional backdrop for a wildly entertaining and absurdly violent story about a cop who's turned into a corporate-owned cyborg. His bloody adventures are a blast, but RoboCop's journey from a soulless product to a person with his own moral compass and his own identity is truly heroic. John Woo found a spectacular balance between dramatic tragedy and unbelievable slow-motion gunfights in The Killer, starring Chow Yun-fat as an assassin who accidentally blinds a singer. Guilt-ridden, he takes jobs to pay for her surgery, but runs afoul of a criminal organization while also earning the grudging respect of the detective on his trail. Woo uses violence to explore the souls of his characters, to build them up and tear them down again, and it's practically profound. In The Road Warrior, society has completely collapsed and gangs of violent punks scour the desert looking for precious fuel just to keep going. Mel Gibson's Max finds himself in the middle of a war between those marauders and peaceful settlers agreeing to help transport their fuel in one of the most incredible car chases ever filmed. It's a stripped-down story, all action and octane, and it's still one of the most influential and exciting films ever produced. James Cameron's Aliens is a Vietnam War allegory, with cocky Marines dropping into the fray only to be mutilated by an overwhelming force they don't understand. At the heart of it is Sigourney Weaver's Ripley, fighting the monsters who destroyed her life and reclaiming her identity with the help of a young survivor. Endlessly inventive action expands the world of Alien and populates it with fully realized characters whose lives and deaths truly mean something. All Bruce Willis's John McClane wanted was to go to Los Angeles and rekindle his relationship with his wife, but when her office building is overtaken by criminals, it's up to him to save the day. Without shoes! John McTiernan's breathlessly plotted action classic is packed with thrills and surprises. Every scene works and every moment is important. It's one of the most expertly crafted action movies ever made.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother...
Steven Spielberg and George Lucas revived the old movie serial aesthetic and dialed it all the way up to 11 in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Harrison Ford, of course, stars as a bullwhip-toting archaeologist who will stop at nothing to keep the Ark of Covenant out of the despicable hands of the Nazis, which leads to one unbelievable action sequence after another. It's quite possible that Raiders of the Lost Ark, and to a lesser extent its first two sequels, Temple of Doom and The Last Crusade, represents the epitome of the action movie genre. It's not just the best action movie of the 1980s, it's probably the best action movie period. And those are IGN's top 10 action movies of the 80s. Are there any that we missed? Let us know in the comments below, and even though Tim Burton's Batman didn't make the list, you should check out our top 10 animated Batman movies, and as always, keep it locked to IGN.